Hey, buddy, I told you to give you 3 investment ideas today that I myself am investing in, but first pay attention to this chart. So this is a chart of the E-mini futures, the S&P 500 futures. We have had a rough week in the market this week. We've dropped about 5%. I'm going to expand on this chart here in just a moment, but you can see that we are hitting a good point of support. This is tonight. This green bar represents what's happening tonight or tomorrow. I drew this white line, and I'll expand on that here in a little bit. I drew this white line about 4 years ago, and it's a channel. But anytime that we drop 5% in really any period of time is a decent point historically to start dipping your toe in the water on investing in the S&P 500. So if you don't like the risk that comes with owning single name stocks, right now, to me, is a decent point in time to start rebuilding and entering back into the market because we've dropped from the all-time highs by about 5%. The NASDAQ about the same time, a little bit more, but also a decent point to start buying in. That does not mean that we can't drop lower, and I think we probably will, but right now, at 5% of a loss from all-time highs is a decent point to start building a position. And again, we are entering into what I would consider is a decent level of support, and I'll expand this chart here in a second. I had to expand this to a weekly chart, and again, I am not the biggest believer in technical analysis, but it works, and when it works, and you can't deny that. I actually made this channel 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I think. I think I started making this channel, my finger doesn't go that far, but back in 2021, which is back there. And I drew it to encompass the COVID low, which is all the way to the left. And I wish my finger could go that far. And I just left it there. I've left this here for 5 years. And it's really weird that it has respected this channel for 5 years. And it has followed this channel. It's been insane to watch because, again, I'm not the biggest believer in technical analysis, but it works. Now, you can see here, we've busted above it. We've traced along here for years. I kind of expected us to have some resistance right here, and we did. We dropped 10% from right here, and then we've rocketed higher, and then go back to that last segment, but we've popped above here by about 4%, only to come back down, and now we're resting on top of it. So I do think we could have farther to fall to get back inside this channel, but I don't know. But it seems like this is a decent level of support if we're going to continue this trend higher. I think later on, it's hard for me to believe that we're going to keep going higher without falling back into this channel. But again, if you're not wanting to invest in the names that I'm about to give you, getting into the SPY or VOO right now is probably a decent time to start dipping your toes in the water. And again, it's not a recommendation, but it could fall farther. But we've gone 5% from all-time highs. Historically, not a bad time to start slowly building a position. Now, on to the actual picks. First, I'm doing Microsoft. We've dropped 30% from all-time highs. We used to be closer to 600. Right now, we're trading around 397, 400-ish. That was after market close. Actually, we're gapping even lower after Oracle earnings. All software is getting its teeth kicked in again because AI is coming for software. Now, this is probably one of the biggest names in software. Microsoft is a giant company. It's one of the few trillion-dollar companies that we have. It's hard for me to believe that we don't see 600 again, which would be basically a 30% gain on your investment someday. I'm slowly building position in here. And again, that doesn't mean that we won't go lower. My average share price is actually closer to, I think it's like 370. I actually sort of almost bottom ticked Microsoft. I'm going to hold it. I'm not going to sell it. If it keeps going lower past my average share price, I'm going to keep buying Microsoft because, again, I think someday we will see 600 again. Microsoft is one of the Mag 7. Anytime one of the Magnificent 7 stocks drop 30%, it's been a pretty good idea to start buying shares. And that brings me to my next pick. Here we've got Meta, again, another Magnificent 7 company, also down about 27 to 28% from all-time highs. I think Meta's actually got more to go as far as going down, but I think, again, we'll probably see all-time highs before we see 300. Now, that might be a painful ride down, but if you remember back in, I think it was like 2022, 2023, Meta was at almost an all-time low, only to just not stop for the next 2 years on a rocket ship up. So I think Meta has a long road ahead of itself right now. This chart looks ugly. It can't catch a bid. But again, anytime one of the Mag 7 stocks has dropped 30-ish%, it's been a good time to start building a position in it. And again, none of this is recommendations, but I am doing this in my actual portfolio. I've currently got $15-ish thousand between both Meta and Microsoft. And I will be buying more as it continues lower. And to reduce my cost basis, I'll be selling calls on it just to, again, reduce my cost basis. But my last pick is, this one might be out of left field, but General Dynamics. We've channeled here for the better part of 6 months. We're resting off of the 200 moving average. Again, a very strong level of support. That doesn't mean that we can't fall lower. This right here is about the 100 weekly moving average. I started building a very small position right now into General Dynamics because I think that, I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest defense contractors in the world. We have they have a giant line of Gulfstream, which is not actually even being factored into their P&L until next quarter. So I think General Dynamics might start going a little bit lower here, but my price target on GD is probably closer to 400, and it might be a little bit of time before we hit 400, but they have an okay-ish dividend for owning, for what they pay on their shares. So this is more of a defensive play. I don't see it necessarily dropping that much, but again, knock on wood. But this is for the more kind of aggressive plays of Microsoft and Meta. This is kind of more of a defensive play to me. If I have to hold this for a long time, I will. It's not a bad dividend. I think it's a strong stock. It's in a very strong uptrend right now. We've just been channeling the last 6 months. So there you go. Microsoft, Meta, GD. And again, if you don't like doing single names, investing in VOO, which is Vanguard's version of the S&P 500, or SPY, right now, after a 5% pullback, not a bad spot historically to start building a position. Let me know if you have any questions.